In 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Most people know that, although, being nearly 50 years since that event happened, I guess many people don't. So if you don't, I urge you to go and research a little bit about Dr. Martin Luther King. But what I bet most people are not aware of is that there was a court case that happened in 1999, or finished in 1999, which actually demonstrated that the US government was complicit in the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. I'll read a little bit from this article here and I'll put the link in the text box below. Martin King assassinated by US government. King family civil trial verdict demands arrest of today's ongoing complicit criminal liars. There's a quote from Coretta Scott King at the King family press conference December the 9th, 1999. Quote, "We have done what we can to reveal the truth, and we now urge you as members of the media, and we call upon elected officials and other persons of influence to do what they can to share the revelation of this case to the widest possible audience." Unquote. Dr. Martin Luther King's family and personal friend, stroke attorney, William F. Pepper, won a civil trial that found US government agencies guilty of assassination, wrongful death. The 1999 trial, King Family versus Jowers and Other Unknown Co-Conspirators, is the only trial ever conducted on the assassination of Dr. King. Importantly, the following evidence demands arrests in our world of the present of those 0.01% liars in government and corporate media who act as ongoing criminal accomplices after the fact to protect those who assassinated Martin. The overwhelming evidence of US government complicity found valid by the jury includes, there's 9 points here. Number 1, US 111th Military Intelligence Group were at Dr. King's location during the assassination. Number 2, 20th Special Forces Group had an 8-man sniper team at the assassination location on that day. Number 3, usual Memphis police special bodyguards were advised they, quote, weren't needed, unquote, on the day of the assassination. Number 4, regular and constant police protection for Dr. King was removed from protecting Dr. King an hour before the assassination. Number 5, military intelligence set up photographers on the roof of a fire station with clear view to Dr. King's balcony. Number 6, Dr. King's room was changed from a secure first floor room to an exposed balcony room. Number 7, Memphis police ordered the scene where multiple witnesses reported as the source of shooting cut down of their bushes that would have hid a sniper. Number 8, along with sanitizing a crime scene, police abandoned investigative procedure to interview witnesses who lived by the scene of the shooting. Number 9, the rifle Mr. Ray delivered was not matched to the bullet that killed Dr. King and was not sighted to accurately shoot. Also, the FBI acted to cause Dr. King's death by suicide. The FBI illegally spied on Dr. King using data in attempt to split leadership and sent Dr. King a letter promising to expose alleged sexual misconduct. This was part of the FBI's illegal COINTELPRO program. The King's family's attempts for a criminal trial were always denied by state and federal government. Claimed suspect James Ray said that his government-appointed attorney told him to sign a guilty plea to prevent the death penalty and threatened arrests of his father and brother as co-conspirators for his only part in the assassination plot, which was delivering a rifle. Mr. Ray produced a letter from his attorney stating the promise that Mr. Ray would receive a trial. When Mr. Ray discovered that he was solely blamed for Dr. King's assassination and would never receive a trial, Mr. Ray's subsequent recounts of his guilty plea and request for trial were denied. The US government also denied the King family's request for independent investigation of the assassination, despite the overwhelming evidence produced at the 1999 civil trial. Dr. King's wife, Coretta, spent more than twice the number of years she was married to Martin working to get a criminal trial for her husband's assassination. Importantly, the US government has never presented any evidence subject to challenge that substantiates their claim that Mr. Ray assassinated Dr. King. The King family believes the government's motivation to murder Dr. King was to prevent his imminent camping/occupy at Washington, D.C. until the Vietnam War was ended and those resources directed to end poverty and invest in US hard and soft infrastructure. US corporate media did not cover the 1999 civil trial. Interview the King family and textbooks omit this information. This is crucial evidence of a controlled corporate media rejecting coverage of a game-changing story. Journalist and author James Douglas said, quote, "I can hardly believe the fact that, apart from the courtroom participants, only Memphis TV reporter Wendell Stacy and I attended from beginning to end this historic 3.5-week trial. Because of journalistic neglect, scarcely anyone else in this land of ours even knows what went on in it. After critical testimony was given in the trial's second week before an almost empty gallery, Barbara Reese, US correspondent for the Lisbon Daily Publico, who was there several days, turned to me and said, 'Everything in the US is the trial of the century. O.J. Simpson's trial was the trial of the century. Clinton's trial was the trial of the century. But this is the trial of the century, and who's here?' Unquote. For comparison, please consider the media coverage of O.J. Simpson's trial. Quote, "Media coverage of the Simpson trial, which began in January 1995, was unlike any other. Over 2,000 reporters covered the trial, and 80 miles of cable was required to allow 19 television stations to cover the trial live to 91% of the American viewing audience. When the verdict was finally read on October 3, 1995, some 142 million people listened or watched. It seemed the nation stood still, divided along racial lines as to the defendant's guilt or innocence. During and after the trial, over 80 books were published about the event by most everyone involved in the Simpson case." Unquote. Coretta Scott King was certain of the evidence after 30 years of consideration from the 1968 assassination to the 1999 trial. Quote, she said, "For a quarter of a century, Bill Pepper conducted an independent investigation of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. He opened his files to our family, encouraged us to speak with the witnesses, and represented our family in the civil trial against the conspirators. The jury affirmed his findings, providing our family with a long-sought sense of closure and peace, which had been denied by official disinformation and cover-ups. Now the findings of his exhaustive investigation and additional revelations from the trial are presented in the pages of this important book. We recommend it highly to everyone who seeks the truth about Dr. King's assassination." Unquote. The US Department of Justice issued a report in 2000 that explained their claimed investigation into their own possible guilt in the assassination. They concluded that they found no evidence to warrant further investigation. Dr. King's son issued the following statement rebuking the, quote, "self-study," unquote, rather than independent investigation. Quote, "We learned only hours before the Justice Department press conference that they were releasing the report of the results of their limited investigation. which covered only 2 areas of new evidence concerning the assassination of Dr. King. We had requested that we be given a copy of the report a few days in advance so that we might have had an opportunity to review it in detail. Since that courtesy was not extended to us, we are only able at this time to state the following. Number 1. We initially requested that a comprehensive investigation be conducted by a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, independent of the government, because we do not believe that, in such a politically sensitive matter, the government is capable of investigating itself. Number 2. The type of independent investigation we sought was denied by the federal government, but in our own view, it was carried out in a Memphis courtroom during a month-long trial by a jury of 12 American citizens who had no interest other than ascertaining the truth. Number 3. After hearing and reviewing the extensive testimony and evidence which had never before been tested under oath in a court of law, it took the Memphis jury only 1 hour to find that a conspiracy to kill Dr. King did exist. Most significantly, this conspiracy involved agents of the governments of the city of Memphis, the state of Tennessee, and the United States of America. The overwhelming weight of the evidence also indicated that James Earl Ray was not the triggerman, and in fact was an unknown patsy. Number 4. We stand by that verdict and have no doubt that the truth about this terrible event has finally been revealed. Number 5. We urge all interested Americans to read the transcript of the trial on the King Center website and consider the evidence so they can form their own unbiased conclusions. Although we cooperated fully with this limited investigation, we never really expected that the government report would be any more objective than that which was resulted from any previous official investigation. Let's summarize. Under US civil law, covert US government agencies were found guilty of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. King was the leading figure of the civil rights movement, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and widely recognized as one of the world's greatest speakers for what it means to be human. The family's conclusion as to motive was to prevent Dr. King from ending the Vietnam War because the government wanted to continue its ongoing illegal, covert, and overt military operations to control foreign governments and their resources. It is therefore a factual statement that under US civil law, the US government assassinated Dr. King. If you're interested in reading the rest, which I suggest you do, then enjoy.